It would only take one mistake for the entire world to disappear. Not slowly, not over years, but in hours. And the terrifying part? We might not even see it coming. Because World War III wouldn't start the way you think. No dramatic speeches. No obvious invasion. No clear beginning. Just one event that looks small at first. A political leader assassinated. A cyber attack no one can trace. A resource suddenly running out. But here's the strange part. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, it's already too late. Because modern war doesn't need a battlefield. It needs a trigger, and that trigger could come from anywhere. So the real question isn't if a global war could happen. It's how quickly it could spiral out of control. And this is where it gets weird. We've actually been here before. In the 1960s, during the Cold War, the world came within minutes of nuclear destruction. One decision, one misunderstanding. That's all it almost took. But somehow, humanity stepped back. Barely. So what happens if next time we don't? What if the systems designed to protect us fail? What if the people in control hesitate for just a second too long? Because in today's world, hesitation isn't safety, it's vulnerability. And that's when everything changes. Because World War III wouldn't be fought like the last ones. It wouldn't even look like war at first. And that's what makes it so dangerous. You wouldn't know it started until it was already everywhere. So when would something like this actually begin? That's the uncomfortable truth. No one knows. Because a world war doesn't need a global announcement. It just needs a chain reaction. One country responds to another. Allies get involved. Lines are drawn. And suddenly, it's no longer local. It's global. But here's the twist. Despite all the tension in the world today, a full-scale world war is actually less likely than it feels. That sounds backwards, right? After all, we've seen conflicts everywhere. Vietnam, Afghanistan, countless others. So why not another world war? Because the world has changed. Alliances aren't as rigid. Countries are more independent. And militaries are far more powerful, which creates a strange balance. Everyone is stronger. So no one wants to be the first to push too far. But that balance is fragile. Because the stronger the weapons, the smaller the margin for error. And this is where it gets unsettling. If a global war did break out today, it wouldn't just be soldiers on battlefields. It would be millions of lives instantly at risk. Entire cities gone. Economies collapsing overnight. And the planet itself struggling to recover for decades. Maybe even centuries. But that's not even the craziest part. Because the way this war would be fought would barely resemble war at all. And what replaces it might be even more terrifying. Imagine a battlefield with almost no humans. No trenches. No massive armies charging forward. Just machines. Silent. Precise. Relentless. Because the next world war might not be fought by people, but by technology. And this is where it gets weird. Soldiers could wear exoskeletons, metal frameworks that amplify strength. Not quite superheroes, but strong enough to carry impossible weight across impossible distances. Weapons might not even need a direct line of sight. Bullets that curve. Targets eliminated without ever being seen. But here's the real shift. The battlefield might move off Earth entirely. Into space. Satellites becoming weapons. Control the sky, and you control everything below it. Communication, navigation, power. All gone in seconds. But what happens next changes everything. Because the most dangerous attacks might not involve weapons at all. No explosions. No warning. Just darkness. Entire power grids shutting down. Cities going silent. Hospitals failing. Airports freezing mid-operation. All caused by something you can't see. Cyber warfare. And that raises a disturbing question. What if the war starts, and no one even realizes it's a war? Because by the time systems fail, economies crash, and chaos spreads. The damage is already done. But that's not even the worst-case scenario. Because there's one resource. One thing every country needs. That could push the world past the point of no return. And once that line is crossed, there's no going back. Water. Not oil. Not land. Water. The most basic resource on Earth, becoming the most dangerous. And here's the terrifying part. Fresh water is limited and shrinking. As populations grow, demand rises. Supplies fall. Tensions build. But here's the strange part. Wars over water wouldn't look like wars at first. They'd look like disputes, disagreements, sanctions, until suddenly, they aren't. Because when survival is on the line, negotiation disappears. and conflict becomes inevitable. But even then, there's still something holding the world back, something that has prevented global war for decades. And this is where everything flips. Because it's not peace. It's fear. Nuclear weapons. And this changes the entire equation. Back in World War II, nuclear bombs destroyed entire cities. Over 100,000 lives gone in moments. But those weapons? They're nothing compared to what exists today. Modern nuclear warheads are exponentially more powerful. And there aren't just a few. There are nearly 14,000 of them, spread across the world. Ready. Waiting. So here's the question. If one is launched, what happens next? Because history suggests something terrifying. One doesn't stay one. It becomes 2, then 10, then hundreds. And in a matter of hours, the world as we know it stops existing. So who wins World War III? That's the most chilling answer of all. No one. Because in a nuclear scenario, there is no victory, only survival. And even that isn't guaranteed. Entire countries could vanish. The atmosphere could change. Sunlight blocked. Temperatures dropping. Crops failing. A global chain reaction known as nuclear winter. But here's the part no one talks about. Even the countries that survive don't really survive. Because the systems we depend on, food, water, energy, would collapse. And rebuilding? It wouldn't take years. It could take centuries. And that's if humanity even gets the chance. But here's the final twist. Despite everything you've just heard, despite all the technology, tension, and weapons, a full-scale World War III is still incredibly unlikely today. Why? Because every major power understands one thing. The cost is too high. The risk, too absolute. Mutual destruction isn't a threat. It's a guarantee. So most conflicts stay contained, limited, controlled. But that leaves one final question. If the world knows exactly how it ends, if everyone understands the consequences, then why does the possibility still exist? Why hasn't it been eliminated completely? Because all it takes is one moment, one decision, one mistake. And if that moment ever comes, will we stop it in time? Or will that be the moment everything changes?